We're currently in the confidential Phalanx facility, where we have gained access to the Nemesis files dating back millennia, containing the entire history of this infamous operation. With Nemesis back with a vengeance, there has never been a better time to uncover the secrets of the Phalanx and Forbidden Valley. Starting off with the story of Nemesis herself, who is suspected to have crash-landed in the peaceful Staffordshire countryside a few thousand years ago. Buried in the soil, she remained unnoticed, dormant as human civilization began to form around her. That was until the medieval period, when people began worshipping her, entranced and lured in by her alien presence, and started offering themselves as human sacrifices by chanting an incantation that would summon the beast. Fast forward to the 90s, and Alton Towers is a thriving theme park in that same Staffordshire countryside. Thunder Valley is a hotspot for families and thrill-seekers alike, with the new Beast providing exhilarating turns, Beastie providing mild thrills, and the Thunder Looper, a launch shuttle looping coaster, roaring above riders' screams. But something was about to roar louder. Workers were performing routine maintenance in the beloved area when a key was found in the soil. This key unlocked an ancient book, containing the details of the cultish following of the Beast. Taking what's not yours is never a good idea, for the disturbance of the ground stirred the alien, waking her from centuries of slumber with an unrivalled anger. Ripping the ground surrounding trees and buildings, Nemesis made Thunder Valley an unrecognisable sight. This is where the Phalanx enters the picture, a military organisation that were deployed to contain the alien. The group installed 250 tons of track starting in 1992, using 200 men to complete it. The Phalanx clearly had too much hubris and too little knowledge to fulfill the task, as the steel that pinned it down was twisted and warped against the resistance of the creature, becoming a part of it. And they had not considered that the alien's power transcended the physical realm, as guests of the park were still lured to the site in 1994 to ride the steel that was supposed to keep them away from Nemesis. The Phalanx continued to survey the site for 17 years before they stumbled across a cave system near to the Nemesis site during routine excavation. After further excavation, the Phalanx upgraded its security level to Category 1 and mapped 27 kilometres of tunnel. Knowing the public showed great intrigue in Nemesis, the organisation decided to open their largest discovery in the caves to the public, housed in what they called the core, an alien egg. Promising the highest safety measures had been considered, guests flocked to Alton Towers to descend deep underground and marvel at the offspring of a creature that defied our dimension. However, guests soon discovered that the Phalanx's promise of having the egg under control could never have been true, as observers of the egg had to be evacuated after it was, shall we say, compromised, with the public catching a glimpse of an even deeper cavern seemingly infested with alien life. With the facility left closed and abandoned after 2015, you would think these crazy scientists would have learned their lesson. But in 2023, they proved they were even crazier by reopening the vastly forgotten facility while they worked on refreshing the Nemesis site. And it was clear that it wasn't as secure as they claimed it to be, with staff fleeing the building, gasping for air during the grand opening ceremony. On the 6th of November 2022, the alien was considered to have abnormal behaviour and needed to be blocked off from the public, with a team of hazmat-bound Phalanx operators descending on the alien to collect samples. In an effort to re-stabilise the site, the Phalanx set out to replace all the steel track that held her down, whilst extracting samples from the alien herself and DNA from the eggs found in the caves to better understand the creature. Although they forgot about the events that happened 28 years ago, when an excavation saw someone take what wasn't theirs. Enraged, the beast became active once more, killing 2 Phalanx staff, one being the head of the operation. However, with the public waiting, the operation continued almost as if nothing had happened. In the months before the tragedy, armoured vehicles, helicopters and trucks had securely transported the hundreds of tons of steel, and the project was already too far progressed to be halted. Then, on the 14th of March, on his regular site check of the Nemesis grounds, a security guard named Percy mysteriously disappeared. Or, not so mysteriously, for his fate was captured on film, with the alien rising from her slumber, claws splayed and slimy, an eye blindingly bright to capture him on the ride of his life. and thus Nemesis was reborn, back with a vengeance. Of course, thousands of people flocked to the site to catch a glimpse of Nemesis reawoken, her eyes staring down guests as she displays the power of her teeth, her claws ripping support from the ground, her unpleasant details on show more than ever before. But so did protesters, who had seen through the cruel treatment of Nemesis by the Phalanx, and were prepared to expose their corruption, just as we are. However, Nemesis has a deep history outside of its lore. Alton Towers is an interesting park, as its location, being in the countryside, means it has a coaster height limit of the tree line. This made a particular ride in Thunder Valley a big problem for the park, as Thunder Looper, opening in 1990, was not only incredibly noisy, but it was also over 150 feet tall, and so it was poking way above the tree line. While the ride wouldn't be removed until 1997 and be replaced by the Blade, the park needed to have plans for a bigger, better coaster so people wouldn't mind its eventual removal. Aerodynamics was developing a pipeline coaster at the time, and John Wardley was brought on as a designer, who codenamed the project Secret Weapon, as it would have a military theme, which survived in the theme of Nemesis and the Phalanx. To see how the land could be shaped around the coaster, the pit that Nemesis would eventually reside in began being blasted out in 1991. The coaster would only be 980 feet long and offer minimal thrills, and so, with a gaping hole in Thunder Valley, the project was put on the back burner. That was until a year later, when further rock blasting took place, in the hopes that the pipeline project could be revived, under the creative new title of Secret Weapon 2. John Wardley wanted to make sure the model was the revolutionary coaster he had envisioned, and so took a trip to Utah, where the prototype of the coaster had been built. He returned very disappointed, quoting it was very slow and rather boring, causing him to scrap the pipeline coaster altogether. Aerodynamics would suffer financial issues in the coming decades before closing in 2001, with the pipeline coaster remaining as a prototype, although their most recognisable coaster, the big one, would open in the same year as Nemesis. However, they couldn't leave the project alone, with Merlin, then Two Swords, spying the development of an inverted coaster at Six Flags Great America, a first of its kind with intense inversions and a versatile layout. Bolliger and Mabillard were the manufacturers of the ride, and began talks with Towers after conversations with the engineers at Six Flags, who gave them the information about the coaster which would open in 1992. Secret Weapon 3 was then codenamed, and plans for the layout were drawn up by Werner Stengel, with the overall ride design being closely monitored by John Wardley. Of course, the first hurdle was the tree height restriction, and so the pit had to be further blasted out and the tallest tree marked so the lift hill could reach it to maximise its height. Even so, the steep drop into the vertical loop layout was still too tall for Nemesis, and so the layout had to be custom designed to hug the ground while ascending up to the walls of the pit to maintain speed and create unique G-forces. Nick Varney, marketing director of the park at the time, and John Wardley created the name Nemesis and engineered its theme throughout 1992, featuring a furious alien creature and a mysterious military operation. It was a story designed to keep riders and non-riders hooked, one that was simultaneously easy to understand but difficult to fully grasp, to keep curiosity high. A landscape designer was hired to fill the emptiness of the pit, adding jagged rocks and tunnels for near-miss moments. The station was designed to look like the alien, with slimy detailing across its wide body featuring small green eyes. With TV adverts airing in 1994, showcasing the haunting story of the coaster and even the aliens securing riders' harnesses before they speed past the massive creature, the £10 million investment would open to the public on the 19th of March 1994. The opening of the coaster also saw the end of Thunder Valley, with the name of the area changing to Forbidden Valley, and the park making quick work of removing the three coasters of the area, with Beastie, The New Beast, and Thunder Looper in 1996 and 1997. This led to the iconic flat ride Ripsaw being added to enhance the area in 1997 and later Air, now Galactica, in 2002. Nemesis would remain iconic, but the park knew people wanted more, especially after the success of Nemesis Inferno at Thorpe Park, which opened in 2003. And so a flat ride by the name of Dynamo was promptly removed from its site in 2004 to make way for your worst nightmare, underground, Nemesis Subterra. Not really, for a climbing wall later occupied the site before it was promptly removed from its site to make way for your worst nightmare, underground, Nemesis Subterra. In August of 2011, plans were submitted for the indoor drop tower manufactured by ABC Rides, which could seat 40 riders at a time, and construction began that September. Codenamed Project Catacombs, the marketing and design team began planning its storyline. Guests would be lowered into a series of caves to view a Nemesis egg, but after a few technical difficulties, they would be plummeted into a deeper cavern where more alien offspring awaited riders, and upon returning to the viewing platform, the egg would be hatched. With a pre-show before and a claustrophobic scare maze-like experience following the ride, it was born to be marketed as a horror attraction. Boasting a 12A certification by the British Board of Film Classification, its advertisements promise a terrifying experience, and for some reason, Jack Osborne was the director of fear for the attraction. They would also release a promotional video of staff being trained to deal with the claustrophobia of the ride to further deepen the fear factor of the ride, which would open on the 24th of March 2012. But it would close in 2015, laying dormant for most of these years until it was revived on the 27th of May 2023. The revamped version of the attraction was designed with Nemesis Reborn in mind, as Nemesis had begun retracking work at the end of the 2022 season, and Forbidden Valley was feeling empty. With heavy involvement from the Phalanx, the operation played a large part in hyping up the return of Nemesis and giving more information on the shady organisation and what data they wanted to collect from the beast. Track would be hauled to the Staffordshire site on a convoy of jet black lorries, with Phalanx staff unveiling the new track, a change from the bony white to a shiny black with striking red veins. Various promos featuring the head of the Phalanx were released to create suspense for the reopening, with a viewing platform being built to allow guests to observe the installation of the track in real time. 89 of the 117 supports were replaced, and its associated track was installed, this time filled with sand, to reduce stress on the track and to lower its noise level to reduce complaints from local farmers, where the original hollow track was designed to purposefully make a beastly roar. The station was repainted to a grey, with a deeper red on the details, but the most striking detail is her large glowing eye, an impressive projection which captures the emotion of the alien, and the ring of sharp teeth or claws which surround it, moving as riders whiz past. Synced to the passing of the train is a blast of smoke, and in the station, which is now themed to the inside of the beast, with flesh on the ceiling and ribs on the walls, are glowing red lights. A new soundtrack comprising of 4 tracks, lasting 20 minutes, plays ominously throughout the area, where Phalanx helicopters and a tour bus lie crashed, and where fans can buy merch of their favourite alien, repeating the cycle of worship Nemesis started all those centuries ago. So, that's it for this video. I hoped you enjoyed watching it, and if you did, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye!